Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar sponsored by Teen Life and Projects Abroad called Stand Out to Admissions: How Volunteering Abroad Can Define Your College Application. To orient everyone with the webinar timing, we're going to begin first with our presentation, and then towards the end, we'll have the opportunity to answer your questions through a live Q&A. So if there's something that you hear our presenter speak about and you want to go ahead and ask that question, we welcome you to go ahead and do so by visiting the Q&A tab, or you can go ahead and ask that question in the chat. And then lastly, this webinar will be recorded, so it'll be available on Teen Life social media, and you also will be able to receive an email with that information. With that said, let's go ahead now and meet our presenters, Kat and Sitlali.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. It is so lovely to meet you. We are very excited to tell you more about such an interesting topic, especially for young teenagers who are looking more into academic options. So, just a quick introduction for your presenters for today. My name is Katia Martinez. Lovely to see you all. I'm a project expert with Projects Abroad. I enjoy volunteering myself and traveling as well. I've done this type of volunteering and service experience in other countries, such as Mexico, Spain, Japan. I do enjoy volunteering quite a lot, and my role every day is guiding students, such as yourselves, into finding the best possible option for your academic interests. Now I'll hand off the mic to my colleague.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Lali Flores. I have the same role as Kat. Feel free to call me Lali if it's easier. I myself share the love for travel. I've been to Africa, I've been to Mexico, US, Canada, Europe, and I look forward to going to Asia next. And I'm happy to be here with you guys. Hopefully, you guys can all leave with something valuable tonight.
All right, so just to give you a bit of an overview of the topic for today, this is the agenda that we have. We will be starting by talking a little bit more about how admissions have evolved from a few years to now. And then we'll jump straight into talking about the skills and the experience that you can gain through a volunteering program, specifically focused on having that academic mindset. We'll go over how to turn that service based experience into something helpful for your college applications moving forward, some helpful tools and tips that you can use when you are writing about your college admissions and your experience volunteering for college applications. And then we will also tell you a little more about the type of teen volunteering experience that you can join with us in Project Spark. And we will end the session by going over the Q&A. All the questions that you have throughout the session, we'll be happy to answer them at the end.
And how about we begin talking about the evolution of admission? This is very important for us to understand. And well, for a long time, college admissions in the US followed a very traditional model in the admissions. Basically, it was all centered around academic performance and measurable achievements. That's what it was all about. But then after a while, they realized that numbers alone don't fully reflect a student's potential, who they are, their character, or their future impact on campus. So naturally, there was a shift in admissions philosophy, right? From a system centered only on statistics and numbers, they then moved on to understanding the student as a whole. So, as I was saying before, we talk about how volunteering abroad can strengthen your college applications. It's very important to understand how admissions used to work compared to what universities value today. So, let's just continue. Right. So, yeah, looking more specifically into what universities used to value, you probably already know this. They value your GPA, your SAT scores, your CATs, your rigor, a student's rigor of coursework, like your honors, AP classes, advanced classes, etc. And extracurriculars were very important, but a lot of the times they valued, quantity and prestige over actually quality, they encourage students to have a longer list of resumes. So things like joining a bunch of different clubs, say over 5, um, honors titles, things like that, doing different activities. And there was often very little consideration for a student's personal background, their environmental challenges, and who they were. In many ways, the ideal student or the strongest applicant was the student with the strongest academic statistics and the longest list of accomplishments. Okay. Today, college admissions has changed quite a bit, and admissions officers now look for a more holistic approach. Now they want to have a balance between the SATs, your GPA, all your academic achievements, and your personal character, right? They also want to get a look into your unique life experiences. What makes you different, right? What have you learned? What can you bring to campus life that's different? And how can you support, a full body, in your classroom of students that are built with different perspectives, different experiences, etc. There is also now much more greater emphasis on depth over breadth. For example, it's not the same as how it used to be that you were encouraged to have a long list of accomplishments, joining all these different clubs. Now they want you to join 1 or 2, but truly make have a real commitment, show leadership, and meaningful contribution. Another thing that's changed is that essays and recommendation letters now hold more weight, because this is one of the things that help admissions officers better understand your potential, your values, the contributions that you're going to be bringing to campus life. All in all, I would say that the goal today is to build that, wonderful group of different students with different backgrounds. So naturally, the question becomes, how can you develop these qualities and stand out in an authentic way? One of the most powerful ways that you can develop these qualities that universities value is through experiential learning. And a perfect example of that is through volunteering abroad, because this allows students to gain real-world experience rather than just sitting in a classroom and reading about it, right, about different topics. Experiential learning, guys, is very important because it allows you to connect, your personal life, traveling with meaning. It's active, it's memorable. You're able to remember all of your activities and talk from a personal point of view. Instead of reading, right, in a textbook about healthcare, education, conservation, community development, you are now able to experience this in real life in a country doing a volunteering program. Okay, and actually when you do something like this abroad, students naturally begin developing some hard and soft skills, and these are what universities value. So to go a little bit deeper into some of the hard skills that you would get by doing something like this, who has heard of learning a language while volunteering abroad, right? Or traveling and learning a language. It's something that's very common, and a lot of people want to do this. Take, for example, a medical program in Argentina, right? With language lessons included. You can add a language lesson to any of our countries. And basically, how is this different between learning a language in the classroom versus this? Well, your learning experience actually never ends. You leave your placement, but you're actually continuing to learn from transitioning to places at the hospital, or if you're doing a teaching program or working with kids, right? With the kids, your engagement there. There's really opportunities all around, and that is the purpose of a volunteering program. Now, of course, the skills that you gain from doing something like this is going to be dependent on the project you choose to do. And we can go into some of the practical skills that you would gain, for example, taking vitals at a hospital, right? You take workshops on first aid, for example, how to do blood pressure, weight, height, all those things, how to give over-the-counter meds. Or if you were to join a conservation program, perhaps diving, you would gain a qualification, right? A diving certification. Now, beyond the technical skills, volunteering abroad also helps you build soft skills. And I would say that these are often some of the most important qualities that universities look for today. As cliche as it sounds, I had a call last week with one of our parents who sent her daughter to our medical program in Peru. And she said that her daughter was interested in joining the exact same program. She's already booked on, she's going this summer again. She's very excited because she said that her daughter came back feeling more confident, more independent, and mature, but also more empathetic and genuinely motivated about her career. So she was also able to confirm that this is what she wanted to do in the future. And naturally, this is because her experience traveling abroad pushes you out of your comfort zone, and that helped her to grow not only academically, but also personally. And because these skills are developed through authentic experiences, students, it's easy for them to speak about them in a much more genuine and compelling way, right? And you can do this, this is valuable when it comes to writing those essays and those applications. That's where this becomes very valuable. Well, we do survey our participants year on year, and these are just some of the results of last year's surveys. And as you can clearly see here, some of the numbers, most of them come back feeling more independent, more confident, mature, empathetic. All in all, doing something like this improved their experiences when it comes to talking about them. When it came to their applications, right? It strengthened them.
Okay. Now to move on how to take all of these skills and everything that you've learned during a volunteering experience and how to turn that into a strategy and how to use that knowledge and that experience in your college applications. I'm sure a lot of the participants here are curious about this specific question. So if you can go to the next slide. Okay, so for how to go about crafting your narrative, what do I mean by this? It's basically how you tell your story, how you talk about your volunteering experience, because this is really at the end of the day what will matter most. One, how you look at the volunteering program when you are doing it, the mindset that you have, and crucially, how you talk about it with other people after the fact. Really, the way that you express your experiences in a volunteering program can make or break your application, which is why this is the main topic for today. Now, something that I really want to stress for anybody that is joining us, whether you are a parent or a teenager looking into a volunteering experience to improve your applications in the future, service programs and volunteering in general, it is great, but please remember you are a student. It is not your responsibility to change the world. You are joining a volunteering slash service program. Yes, you will learn, you will get experience. It's probably going to change your life, but you are not meant to go to a different destination and change the world in 2 weeks. No admission officer is going to expect this of you. You are a student, and it is okay for this to reflect in your applications. What you should be focusing on rather than trying to maybe be a bit of an overachiever and try to write down everything in your application. You need to show them how you are open to learning, how you reflect on experiences, and how you process all of the knowledge that you gain in this type of service based experience. With volunteering, it can be very easy to fall into this savior narrative where you are going to maybe a third world country and you are working with a community that's living in poverty, things like that. That can really affect your applications. Volunteerism right now, it's at a very, very high note. Mission officers are aware of this term, and you want to stay away from volunteerism whenever possible. You need to make sure that you are looking into this as a learning experience first and foremost. Now, how you go about showing that through the process of an application, starting with the experience, if you can go to the next slide, gather as much data as you can to get started. Bring a journal with you to your volunteering program, write as many notes as you can. If you can't write them, type them in your phone, ask someone to lend you a notebook, a paper, anything that you can use to write down specific details and information will come in handy in the future, whether it's the amount of students that you work with for a volunteering opportunity, the specific workshop that you participated on. All of these details, you never know when they will be of use. And more on this later on. But it's always best to have as much information written down as you can while you are doing it. Always reflecting on this as a learning opportunity for you. Ask as many questions as you can, learn from the professionals that you are working with and supporting on the ground. And for the next step, which is the application, that is when this will come in handy. For a written application, of course, data is important, but as we've seen at the start of the presentation, admissions are looking for someone who is balanced. So, how do you do that? Well, by crafting your narrative and connecting everything together. So, you have to be smart about how you use the information that you have gathered in your volunteering experience. Rather than listing all of the workshops that you completed in a volunteering program or all of the specific tasks that you did, you need to paint a story with that. So rather than just saying, oh, I did a workshop on nutrition and I supported children from a local school, you have to be very specific. You work with a professional in this field, you learned this and this is how that's improving you and making you learn and grow. So that type of thing, so bringing in all of those details that you wrote down during the volunteering experience and putting that into paper, but make it make sense. Try to avoid any general claims such as, oh, it was a life-changing experience, I'm a much better person now, because that's just a claim. That's really not showing anything for the growth that you did. So you need to reflect on the experience and talk about it using the facts and the data that you gathered during it. Now, moving on to the interview portion of this type of process. I know lots of people get nervous about the interview section. I know I did when I was back in college. This is a crucial part, and I feel like it makes a lot of people nervous because this is going to give the opportunity for the admission officers to get back to you with questions. So it's not just going to be you writing down a sentence that you can take all of the time in the world to perfect and make it look nice and neat. They're going to have the opportunity to say, "Oh, how come? Why do you feel that way? What do you think you got out of that experience? How has that make you a better student? Why should we accept you in our institution based on that claim?" And to be able to answer those questions, well, first, you need to be very involved in the program that you are doing. You need to actually learn and reflect on that experience so that you are able to answer. But also, it is very important that you are careful with the type of program that you are choosing to do for volunteering. Of course, making sure that it is related to the major that you want to do. If you want to go for humanities, sciences, things like that, it does need to make sense as to a certain point. But also, you need to make sure that you are choosing a company that is ethical, first of all, and that has an educational framework to work with through this type of program. As I said earlier, it is not your responsibility to save the world and make a change all throughout the year, like a long term, 2, 3, 5 year plan with these communities. You are there to learn and gain experience. So you can leave the long term responsibility to the organization, the volunteering organization that is making this plan for you. And you can talk about what you saw and how has impacted the communities because you will learn about that when you are traveling through a company like this. I'm with Projects Abroad. I can confidently say that that's the type of program that we offer. But even if you're not going with Projects Abroad, any company that you choose, make sure that you are doing it through a reputable company that does care about the impact that their volunteering has. Because if you don't, that's really going to show when you are in an interview and they are questioning you about the experience that you had and the change that it had in people and how it changed you as well. So make sure that you are doing this through someone who is really aware of the consequences of a badly organized volunteering experience for foreigner communities. Now, moving on to a very nice tool that I wanted to share with everyone. I think this could be so helpful, especially for students. I know it helped me a lot. It's called the STAR method. Some people might be familiar. This method is basically a way for you to do everything that I mentioned earlier. So, really bringing in everything together and showing results by the way that you speak. This is a very helpful tool. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. And basically, you are trying to include all of these things into any sentence that you write that should matter or the main focus of your application. Um, I do think it might be a little bit easier if I give you a few examples. So I do have a couple written down, but just to quickly go over them, situation will be what's happening at the time. So if you're doing a volunteering program, if you're working at a specific location, anything like that, what's happening? That is the situation. The task is your goal. What are you looking to do in that specific situation? For action, it's the steps that you are taking to make that happen. So this could be working as a team, using those skills that you are gaining in this type of volunteering opportunity. It could be anything, but the steps that you were taking to get that done. And finally, the result. What is going to come out of this task, of your actions, of the situation that you find yourself in? To go over an example, let's say that I am a volunteer in Ghana. So I could say something along the lines of volunteering in Ghana has taught me how to be a leader and it's helped me understand global poverty in a medical setting. Um, just face value, that sounds good. Yeah, I volunteered in Ghana. I feel more of a leader now. I understand global poverty in a medical setting. But this is just a claim. You are really not making this sound like a real thing. It's just a vague claim that yeah, you went to Ghana for 2 weeks. Anybody could say that. With STAR, with the method, for example, we could say something along the lines of in Ghana, I was tasked with managing a supply inventory in a rural health clinic. When I realized the tracking system was outdated, I created a simplified digital log, which reduced supply waste by 20%. I know that's a lot. Let's briefly break that up and go over it again with STAR in mind. So let's say in Ghana, I was tasked with managing the supply inventory for a rural health clinic. Very real activity that a lot of volunteers do. And this would be the task. This is what we have to do. Now, when I realized the tracking system was outdated, that is the situation that we find ourselves in, I created a simplified digital log. This is an action, a step that we are taking to get to the result, which reduced supply waste by 20%. So as you can see, by using the method, there's a lot more context to what you are talking about, and it's a lot more clear why you are bringing this up in an application. It's talking about your skills, your knowledge, how you assess a situation, and it says a lot more rather than just saying, I volunteered in Ghana and now I understand a medical setting in that location. So I hope all of these tips are helpful. And yeah, I wish everyone the best in creating your story, crafting your narrative, and of course, for your college applications. So let's continue.
Right. So we have spoken a lot about what admissions are looking for today, how you can gain those characteristics, guys, and how then you can use that knowledge, right, in order, for your advantage. So the obvious question now is, how can we actually get this experience? So we can craft this story for admissions and who to go with, right? Now, we know that there are tons of organizations out there that you can do this with. We encourage you to do your research, of course, and go with the one that fits you best. However, tonight, we're with Projects Abroad. This is the one that we know everything about, and it's the one that we'll be recommending for you today. And we brought a few programs that we'd like to share just to give you an idea of what kind of experience you can get if you volunteer with Projects Abroad. And right, well, here we have our most popular types of programs, our high school programs for teens. These are designed for 14 through 18-year-olds, so you'd be guaranteed to be in a group in that similar age range. And they normally run during the summer. summer break. So that could be June, July, August, or we do have some winter dates available, normally during December or January. And they start at 2 weeks, but we do have 3 and 4 week options available as well. And we have all different kinds of programs. If you are a family though, or if you are in college, maybe you're looking to take a longer gap year, we also have different types of programs, not only for teenagers. So feel free to reach out if you'd like to learn a little bit more about those. And here we are. Now, I'm not sure if you guys have heard about Projects Abroad before, but just to give you an idea of who we are, what we do, Projects Abroad has been running since the 90s, so we've got over 30 years of experience. I would say we know what we're doing. We have received over 140,000 volunteers, and we have hundreds of programs across 20 different destinations. This could be in South America, in Asia, in Africa, Europe, and even the South Pacific. There was a question that came in earlier that said, is Projects Abroad a good company to go with or something like that? We would say yes, and we'll show you why. This is just a little map that we have of where we have our programs. I would say that there's a lot of different reasons why someone would pick a specific country, and it could go from maybe this is a country that you had in your bucket list, or a food, as is my case. I'm very drawn to foods from different countries, their culture, perhaps maybe budget could be a factor for you. Another factor is we have a lot of parents who, have teens and their kids have never traveled abroad by themselves. So they choose a country that's closer to home, maybe closer to the US or Canada, and they pick that country. But regardless, whichever country you pick, just know that all of these programs have been thought of for you, and we have staff members in every country that will be there to help you feel safe and comfortable and supported. And here we have a perfect example of one of our medical programs for teens. This is the one that's in Peru. It's based in Cusco. You'd be staying with a host family. Let us know if you have questions about host family experience. I've stayed with host family when I did my volunteering program in Tanzania. And this is just an opportunity for you to do some shadowing with doctors and nurses, really get a feel of what their day-to-day is like. Sometimes you're even able to shadow surgery, observe that, and take workshops. And then, of course, it's not just about the hard work. We also include some leisure activities and a weekend excursion. So there's that balance in there as well. This one includes a trip to Machu Picchu and the hot springs. It's a very popular one. Here we have one of our conservation programs. Say you've always wanted to go to Africa, as it was my dream to go to Africa, and I had a fantastic time. This one is in Kenya, in the African savannah. It's for people that want to work with animals, who are interested in conservation, do something different. And this one is mainly focused with our giraffes and lions. This is one of those examples that I mentioned about some of those hard skills. It's going to include free, there's lots of things that you do, right? But surveys, they teach you guys how to assess vegetations, learn how to identify different species in both vegetations and animals, so that you guys can join in on the activities. You get to go on a safari, guys. You're already going to be surrounded by nature and sleep with the sounds of nature, because in this one you would be staying in an eco lodge. But yeah, this one is a pretty cool one. Last but not least, we have our community development program in Spain, very popular in Europe. Maybe you want to do something a little bit more closer to your culture, not so different as would be Africa or South America, for example. This one is actually doing a lot of different community initiatives, specifically working with the elderly, supporting the food bank, working with kids at the summer youth program. And yeah, you get to work with an NGO, do arts and crafts with kids, things like that, and more. And of course, with your weekend excursion, it's going to be having a tour downtown. They're going to teach you about, architecture, landscapes, all that, take pictures, selfies, and then it comes with a beach day, and you get to also visit Shativa Castle. Oh, before I move forward, actually, I kind of went crazy there. We also have other types of programs within a community, right? Specifics. This one is a mixture, but we have childcare, building for those of you who are interested in something much more tangible. Maybe you want to do something with your hands and see that result right then and there. And then law and human rights as well, if you're interested in that in your future. You're just curious. And for those of you who also want to get ahead in the game for academics, maybe earn some college credit, free college credit, we offer our online courses, and the credits are transferable through our School of Record, which is Greensboro College. And we have other ones available as well, so we're happy to go into details about those. And here I have just some people that have shared, how their experience went with us. I'll just let you read through this one. We've heard about people thinking that they know, students that they know that they want to do something, but they're not 100% sold on this. I myself, in my volunteering journey when I was in Tanzania, I was with a volunteer. I got to visit a hospital, and there was a medical volunteer there, and he kept basically fainting at the sight of blood. So I think it's safe to say that perhaps that wasn't the right career for him, or maybe doing a different department. So it's just a good way to save yourself money, right? Because it's one of those more expensive careers, and time. I'll let you guys read through another one. So we have lots of more reviews on Trustpilot in case you want to check those out. There are really tons of parents and participants who leave. Sorry?
You're frozen.
Oh,
I'm frozen.
can you guys hear me? I mean,
Okay, you can continue.
okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So, yeah, as I was saying, we have a lot of different reviews on Trustpilot, so we welcome you to check those out. Participants and parents leave those. We also have testimonials. We ask our participants after they've returned if they would like to create a story so that we can share it online. So you're welcome to review those as well. And we also have an alumni network. So if you're interested on connecting with someone who's done this program on a more personal note, we always offer that option in case you'd like to reach out. Alas, all good things do come at a cost, and joining us is no exception. So, I mean, this is just basically what your trip would include. Just to be transparent, all of our pricing is on our website. But to give you a range so you can understand what this is for you, they start at about $2,900 to about $4,600, $900, depending on the type of program that you do. Some of those conservation programs, because they include a certification, that might be a little bit more on the expensive side. And this would be for 2 weeks. And you can see, I mean, it's basically all inclusive, your transportation, all of your meals, your excursions, your amenities, equipment, diving gear, anything that you're going to need in our program. Basically, what's going to be not included is going to be your flights, traveler's insurance, and then visa and vaccine, depending on the country that you pick. If you are wondering how you can come up with this money, if, we have fundraising tips. A lot of students do that. Or we also have a list of scholarships and grants. And then we also have flexible payment plans. Feel free to reach out, and we'd be happy to discuss what might be the better option for you.
Okay. This is an amazing presentation. It makes me want to go back to being a high school student and have the opportunity to do so. So this is awesome. So with that said, we're now going to move into our live Q&A. So thank you to you all who have already started to ask questions. So I'm going to just go ahead and jump right into our first question that was asked. And it says, how can I describe my volunteering experiences in my college applications to make me stand out from other applicants?
All right, I can answer that one. So how to stand out and talk about the experience? I would say try to focus on, even if it's a volunteering program, I know it's in the name, it can be confusing, but try to look at it as a learning experience rather than a fully volunteering experience where you are going in and working. You are a student. I mentioned this earlier. So it is very important that you are taking as much as you can from this experience and applying that to your knowledge and your future studies. For example, if you are going for a medical career in the future, yeah, you can do a medical program, you can support local communities with public health initiatives. But what's crucial for you to mention in your applications is what you saw in your program and how you are looking to implement that in the future so that once you are a professional in the field, you can use all of that knowledge because it's just unreasonable to think that you will be able to go into an operation if you are a 16-year-old student that's looking to go into the medical field. No one is going to expect that of you. Of course, you can always look at workshops, shadowing hours. Those are all requirements, and yeah, you can do that as well. But try to keep in mind that this is for you to learn and to grow, and try to bring in the more detailed data, like hard data and skills when you can. And this is where the STAR method comes in helpful because that's how you create the story of your volunteering program. You talk about what you learned, give specific facts, give numbers as well, but try to keep the door open for this is how this will help me moving forward as a student. I hope that helps.
That is awesome. Okay, thank you for that response. And thank you to our attendee who asked that question. Our next question is, can you share how is it like living with a host family?
Oh my gosh, it is so wonderful. I know it sounds a little bit scary to a lot of students, especially if this is your first time, not even staying with a host family, traveling abroad, going to a whole different destination. You know, culture is different, food is different. We talk a lot with students that are maybe nervous about, oh, but what if I don't like the food, or what if this or that? You're always going to have questions and concerns, but you need to consider that the families that you are traveling with experience. They welcome students from all over the world every year, all throughout the year, even, and they understand that you are doing this as the first time experience and that you're young. Most of these families, they have children as well, so they are experienced on that front too. But they will be your family. It's going to be a home away from home,
If
if
you
you
will.
will. You'll have plenty of opportunities to talk to them, learn about their experiences living in that specific destination, and they want to hear their culture and just for you to have a good time.
So
So,
I just to add, I got invited because in my volunteering program, I got so close to my host mama, my mama Chilala, that she even invited me to go to a wedding from her family. I didn't get to go because of timing, and then in the end, I had to do something else. But I was super excited to experience an African wedding for the first time. So I'm still in touch with her, and I mean, the food is amazing. Having home cooked meals, guys, away and having someone to talk to is something that I mean it's very valuable. So if you're kind of iffy about, oh, I don't know, staying in somebody else's home, like Katia said, they're used to, receiving volunteers. They like it. They like learning from you and vice versa. And, they're just happy to connect with you. And they'll always sit down and have the meal with you because it's about that. It's about sharing and connecting.
beautiful, beautiful. Our next question, does Projects Abroad offer any volunteer opportunities for folks who may want to go into the arts?
for art, yes, I would say not a specific art focused program. If you're looking at volunteering that is related and that you could apply for an art degree in the future, I would actually recommend our programs volunteering with children. And That is because when you are working with the kids, especially with the younger ones, we do a lot of educational campaigns and we also teach through art. So you could focus on language, math, science, maybe not with the very young ones, but in general, and you could do art as well. So maybe you could talk to the arts teacher about how they go about teaching arts to kids. You can learn about the importance of implementing art into an educational career of a child. And yeah, maybe you're not going for education in the long run, but this is going to teach you a lot. And this could be the one thing that makes you stand out in an application in the future. The fact that, yeah, you are an artist, you want to pursue art as a career, but you have also experienced the educational side of things and how to apply that in the studies with young children. So, yeah, that would be my recommendation for an arts degree.
Nice, nice. Okay, so we have one more question. Is that okay if I ask this question?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's okay.
great. When would be the best time to start volunteering for abroad opportunities, and how many should I do?
As many as you can. I would say a recommendation, it would be to do it over the summer so you're not disrupting your school year. I would recommend, yeah, mainly focus on the summer break, maybe winter, if that's what's going to work best for you. But if you can look into doing this type of experience for 2 weeks every summer for 2, 3 years, that would be ideal. I understand that's not possible for lots of people. That's okay. If you can do one volunteering experience at least one before you are actually going into college and completing your applications. I would strongly recommend that, even if it's a 2 week experience. It's going to give you all of the skills that we spoke about earlier. And also, it's going to be reassurance that that's the right path for you, such as with the volunteer that we had that put in to face blood into a career.
Awesome. That is great. So we have a few more questions that are coming up, but I know that we are now at the end of our webinar. And so with that, I wanted to thank Projects Abroad. I know that we have another slide that goes over next steps, and there's also some contact information. So Kat, did you want to go over that?
Yeah, of course. So thank you so much for your patience. Sorry about the time. I know we ran a little bit over, so thank you everyone for staying. For next steps, please reach out. You can scan the QR code on the screen right now. You can get in contact. Let me or Sitlali know about your academic interests, the major that you're thinking of pursuing. Even if you're completely lost and you're not quite sure on what to do, you can reach out, let us know. We'll guide you through that process. We can speak about your applications, your admissions, what you should be keeping an eye on for this type of volunteering program, and the best possible option for you. So, yeah, please feel free to go ahead and get in touch if you would like to discuss further. You can review your options, look at different destinations, projects, etc. And once you have decided, we can walk you through the registration process and how to go about securing an experience such as this one. And again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. It really was a pleasure. I know Sitlali does as well, talking about this type of volunteering experience because we both feel very strongly about volunteering and making an impact. And what's best than using this type of experience to also improve your opportunities for a future career? So, yeah, again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Awesome. Thank you all, everyone, for attending. And thank you, Kat and Salali, for this amazing presentation. And again, this presentation will be available on Teen Life's YouTube page in a few more days. So thank you all so much. See you all very soon in another webinar. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
guys.